before I start, just a reflection, because I'm sitting here listening to Julie and Chris, and I had the pleasure of listening to Helene and Chris yesterday, and I thought about where we were a year ago. And if you think back just for a second of where we were both with global campaigns, which we were just going into the first phase of the journey, and where global channel marketing was, I just think it's a world of difference, and it's just great to see both those presentations. So thank you for that. So as you all know, I do believe we are on a journey, and I think we're on a great journey. And what I want to spend just a few minutes with you on here is to share a couple of reflections on where I think we have come so far and where we think this may be heading into 2013. Although there is a big caveat to this, as you've heard from Chris and the others, and that's the fact that we're still working on getting the sales priorities really locked down. And, of course, marketing is making sense when we are looking into the sales priorities. So there's a lot of work in progress, but that's basically what we're sharing. So if we go to the next slide, I just wanted to do a quick recap of the worldwide field and channel marketing leadership team. Since I was last on a call with you, we've had two, I think, changes in here. One is that Philippe has joined the team to head up operations and programs, and also doing the planning for us on a worldwide basis. Philippe was previously running Green Plum channel business development and marketing in EMEA, and he was previously to that running EMEA North and East marketing in EMEA. And then we've had Leanne Maloney join us, whom many of you probably have been in touch with, who is my now finance business partner. And I'm extremely, extremely pleased with this team. And when we had our first meeting about 15 months ago, we were only about 4 or 5 of us. So we have truly changed the team and built out the team, and it's a really, really good team. One thing I wanted to mention in connection with the team and how we set up our organizations is that basically everybody on this PowerPoint has at least 2 lines. And in the world of Joe Tucci, he very often emphasizes that it's not about a solid line and a dotted line. Most of us have 2 lines, and they are equally strong. And so I have 2 lines at least. Chris Fraser has at least 2 lines. Well, she has 3 lines maybe even, and et cetera, et cetera. And we have been through an exercise where we have looked at the teams, our teams then, who have these lines in the systems and who have not. And some of you have seen this, making sure we get the dual lines into both our managers. And I just want to emphasize that it's not a systems question. It's really a question of how we operate, about how we cooperate, and how we make sure we get these alignments. Chris is always stressing the interlock with sales, and that's really what this is all about. We're interlocking. And Tricia Teixeira, for example, she has a line into me, and she has a line into Linda Connolly. I think she actually spends more time with Linda than she does with me, which is a great thing. And it's all about getting that interlock. So for those of you who have been through these EDP changes and changing your dual lines, the most important thing with that is actually how we act and make sure that that works. So on that note, I think we can go to the next slide. And I wanted to share with you, and you might have seen this, the first 6 to 8 months in this leadership team, we spent loads of time on processes, the rhythm, dashboards, etc. And then we said, what are some of the things we really need to focus in 2012 to add value and make a difference? And we picked these 4 things. So if you, and some of you may have joined some of our staff calls and meetings, our agendas have very much been focused on this. And the first one was go-to-market focus. And this is huge value add from the field marketing teams, of course. And I think we've done really great progress, both with the campaigns, how we're setting up all our channel programs, how we go to market with the field marketing team. So I think we have done tremendous progress in this in 2012. We said that 2012 was the year of the channel, and it was interesting to hear Julie's talking about the decade of the channel, because we talked about this yesterday and said maybe the only risk with, say, coining it year of the channel is that you get a feeling that it's done. If you've done something this year, you can move on to the next. The channel is never done. The channel is a consistent commitment and investment. So it would probably be more proper to say the decade of the channel. But I think we made tremendous progress in 2012 as a company in global channel marketing and how we execute channel marketing in the field. I think the pieces are really coming together, and there's clearly more priority. There's clearly more investment into this, and this will continue in next year. The future state of field and channel marketing organization, I will come back to this, but I think it's I think we're doing a great job, by the way. I think you're all doing an awesome job, and I think it's a question of how do we foresee how marketing is changing, where this company needs to go, and how we therefore need to change how we operate, what our structures look like, etc. So we're going to come back to this. And then the fourth one, this is such a, I know that many of you are blessed and cursed with this challenge as well, and that's install-based marketing. And we've had a project running with Todd and with APJ actually, in order to run a pilot and see how we can institutionalize that in a much easier way for next year, because that should be a low-hanging fruit, because of some of our data challenges, it was not as low-hanging as we would have liked it to. So those are four pieces that we really spent a lot of time on the past, I would say, 6 to 8 months. If you go to the next slide, prior to that, when we set up this team, these were basically the things we really looked into. And I wanted to share with you how we kind of are judging ourselves on the progress we are making. The first point was people, and to really build our team and to build or strengthen or make sure we invest in our teams. And on the scale from fly to crawl, I would like to sincerely compliment you all, because we do judge that we are on the fly scale when it comes to people in our team. And that is really what is rendering the great results we're seeing. The second point is to get to a place where we feel like our objectives are really aligned and cascaded, that we can see the objectives from Jeremy and from the sales priorities and how it cascades through the organization, and we understand what we're contributing to. I think we have made some progress, and we are judging ourselves as we're walking, but you will see more on this, because I think this is a really, really important one to facilitate for all of us, that we feel that we are contributing to the things that matters to our stakeholders, and that we get actually evaluated on them. The third part is to run integrated marketing plans, and I know you have had many of those discussions in your team meetings as well. This is important because the value of marketing is just so much larger when we integrate what we're doing. And we are having many of those discussions in Jeremy's leadership team as well, because it's also a question of how we deliver to the field, we as a company, to facilitate this. And we still have a tendency of delivering a big thought leadership piece is delivered one day, and the next is a campaign, and the third is a product launch, and then comes something else. And I know that you're working hard to integrate all these pieces, and we are doing that all over the world. And I think we can take the next. I think we've done a really good job this year in making progress, and I think we can do more next year. Sales, interlocking with the business. This is in the heart of everything we do in the field. We cannot be successful in field marketing if we don't interlock with sales. And I actually think sometimes, currently, the way we have been running in 2012, at times we do this better in the local market than we actually do it centrally. And it's hard. It's very, very challenging. It's not an easy task because there are so many sales stakeholders, as you know. And I think we will see with the new structure in place and with what's happening in the whole reorganization, I think we will see some structures around us that will help us and facilitate this for 2013. But they're always a critical point for field marketing. Metrics, measuring what we do, making those metrics consistent across the theaters, across the divisions, across the campaigns. That's just a goal for us. And I think we have made significant improvements, of course, and I know at Primo has been a lot of investment from all of your sides to understand and to work in. I think now getting these metrics that we can actually start to compare and say, why is this working in the U.S. and why is this not working in Italy, for example, or why did this actually work so well in Brazil? We can track the same kind of metrics. So this is extremely valuable going into the future. The lead flow, I don't know, for as long as we work in marketing, I guess we will speak about lead flow somehow. Again, I think we have made some progress. There is a project running with Linda Conley, Jeremy, Bill Walsh, and Greg as well involved to really attack this, to try to really address the core issues, to move significantly forward with the sales associates and with the model that Linda is setting up internationally as well. So there's a lot of work going on, which we hope we will start seeing results from in a couple of months. And then best practice marketing mindset. And I think we have, and you have definitely, I know you've had your own initiatives. I think this is something we have started doing. I still am such a believer. I am fortunate to get to travel to so many markets and see so many amazing pieces of marketing work. I still think that this is an untapped opportunity for us to find ways of sharing quicker and actually making use of other people's ideas. And I'm going to come back to creativity in the field when we talk about next year. So with that, we can go to the next slide. I touched upon the fact that we have spent some time in my leadership team talking about the future state of field and channel marketing. This is a slide from Serious Decision, and you can argue about what is happening when 2012 they have like the big things being obviously social media, enablement, solution marketing, channel management, for example. I would argue that some of the things are completely wrong on the timeline. They talk about mobile marketing in 2015, and I think it's actually happening now. So you can talk about the different timelines. But what is important here, and we'll spend more time on this as we go into next year, is how does this affect us? How does this change potentially, I think? I think we might get more liberty in how we change the field marketing model. And it changes how we keep conversations with our stakeholders, and it may even change how we measure things, or it will change how we measure things. So this is exciting, and we have run a small project on it with some of the EMEA team in lead, and there's more to be done on this. But this is all exciting, and for all of you who feel passionate about this, I would love to hear your ideas and thoughts on this, because they're all open and exciting thoughts going on. If we go to the next slide, this is, again, take this as a first kind of cut. This is from the leadership meeting we had. Chris referred to our planning meeting a few weeks ago. And this may change. Jeremy has not seen this. But if we look forward to a few things that came out of our discussion from that we think we need to focus on. The first thing we have up here is actually creativity in field execution. And I would like you not to interpret this in the wrong way. It's not that we're not creative today in the field, because I think we are. But we do realize that we brought the model together and we made all those changes, and we want to get consistency and the rhythm and cadence. We've been very focused on everything operational. And clearly we want you all to feel that it's absolutely needed and appreciated, and a must that we have creativity in the field execution. It does not mean create a new campaign. It means really how we execute on things in the field. And we see wonderful things in basically every corner of the world. So I think reinforcing that for next year will be critical, and that will set us apart, and that will amaze our stakeholders, which is of course an important thing. The second thing we talked about is more focus on solution sales and marketing, account-based marketing, going after the enterprise side, which we believe we're seeing tendencies from each of the theater that they will be looking for marketing for that. Third point is really the dialogue. How do we create impactful dialogue with influencers, with the audiences? In many parts of that market, if we do a segment-based approach, it's not about creating leads. It's not going to materialize the first quarter. But we know that the way they're going to make a decision, once they make a decision, will depend on how well we have managed to influence them directly or indirectly. So this is a big one. And that follows the next one. How do we measure that? Because lead flow, now we're getting our head around how we measure that lead flow and conversion rates and how it all translates into pipeline. But how will we measure an influence index and make that meaningful out in the field? I think that's going to be a really important one. Following on to that, sales interlock, it's never going to go away. It has to be top of our mind for everything we do in the field. Organizational skills of the future, we talked about that. I'm very excited about focusing a bit more on that going into next year. Best practice marketing mindset, and then reach. We've had, in every single conversation we end up having a discussion about the database. And markets are becoming networks. It's a question of how we reach them and how we actually have that intelligence. But these are some things, and I am and the whole team are very, very open for your input and your thoughts on where do we focus for next year, because we're in that very dynamic phase of planning where things are moving. So that's some first thoughts. If we go to the next slide. Many of you have seen this favorite wheel of ours, which really shows the cadence we have established across the markets, actually, on how we plan, how we execute, when we measure, and all of that. And where we are right now is that we are setting the fundamental annual plans, and it is an iterative process within EMC. So I would like nobody to get discouraged, because that's how it works. But I think it also gives a lot of room for influence and dialogue